I'm Riley Shepard, the Gladiator of the Geeks, and if I love wrestling, and you love wrestling, we love wrestling.
Welcome to Women on Wednesday. Ooh. I'm Trey D, here with We Love Wrestling. Below we got Maddie with We Love Wrestling, also representing Top Rope Squishy. And today, we got the Gladiator of the Geeks. We have somebody that back in May, I saw her actually participate in some history, being in the first ever all-women's match for the Pro Wrestling Magic Heavyweight Championship against Erica Miller.
Yes.
Yeah. We like history here.
It's history or her story. Either one, but one way or another.
Whichever one you want to say, history or her story. Let's bring her up here. We have Miss Riley Shepard here with us today. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad we could connect again. It was nice meeting you back in May, but to be able to do this is really cool again. So thank you.
I was planning to come for the interview, and the way I am, I'm like, let me just wait a little bit. Let me wait a little bit. And then somebody connected us. I was like, let's make it happen now, because I keep procrastinating with a lot of things when I shouldn't. So Riley, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the first question that I always ask people before we get into it.
Okay.
Why do you love wrestling, or what started your love for wrestling?
So my love for wrestling kind of actually started out of spite.
Never heard that before.
I know. I am a Taurus, so we're very motivated by certain things.
Yes, I'm married to one.
Okay, so you get it. We are very hard-headed and stubborn and determined. My father likes to call it determined and tenacious to make me feel better about it. But yes, it was definitely out of spite, because at the time I was a 911 dispatcher, and then I became a police officer when I first started watching it. And my now brother-in-law did not invite me to WrestleMania when it came to New Jersey, brought my now husband to WrestleMania, but I wasn't invited. And I kind of was hurt by that. Like, you wouldn't think I'd like this or something. It would have been really cool. To be fair, I did not grow up watching wrestling at all. And when my partner and I started dating, he also was not watching wrestling. He used to watch it with his brother growing up, but he wasn't watching. So I was around, 24 or 25 when I went, well, you know what? I'm going to start watching NXT. And around that time was when the Four Horsewomen were coming up. And for someone like me, who I'm a very athletic person, but I'm not someone who's ever proclaimed to be girly or a model or anything like that, which at the time for the main roster, the Divas era was going on, which I give them kudos, and they brought they were a force to be reckoned with, but they weren't given the time. And it made people, unfortunately, not give them the time either. So I think because of the Four Horsewomen coming up in NXT and showcasing these really athletic women who, in their own right, were very pretty, but they were very athletic and they weren't model type. I saw myself in them. I saw a fighter in them, and I knew that I needed to keep watching this. And I think the moment that I realized I needed to be a part of it was the takeover match between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, which was a battle. And after the battle, the whole entire crowd just sang back Becky's entrance song. And I went, this is it. This is it. I need to be a part of this. I actually ended up quitting my job as a police officer to start training at the Monster Factory. I think I started May 2016. Was when all that happened, and then the rest is history. Now you're stuck with the Gladiator of the Geeks because she's spiteful.
Uh-oh. She said something there, Quit your job as a police officer.
I did.
Start wrestling? How was that? Because I mean, How was that for you? To go from being a police officer to wrestling? Like, it's not too many stories you hear like that.
No. I've been told that my whole kind of origin story to wrestling is rather odd in many ways. But I actually wanted to be a police officer since I was 15 years old, and went after it with single-minded determination. Got there after being a dispatcher for about 7 years and all this other things with law enforcement that I did. I went through the academy, I graduated, became an officer, and about 2 years into it, realized this is not where my heart is. It's not something that I wanted to continue to do. I give kudos to my peers who continue to do it. But I got into it for community policing and probably should have gone more after social work instead of policing. But that's something that I'm doing now, which also makes my heart very happy that I'm able to finally be doing that part of it. But the good thing is, because I was falling out of love with policing and falling in love with wrestling, I became a pro wrestler. So it's obviously very night and day. I do have to say, what's in common is the time and energy you put in, because with policing, you're mandated, you're working constantly, you're missing holidays with family and friends, things like that. And that's the same thing that you get as a wrestler. Like, I miss my brother's birthday, and my mom kind of was a little upset, and go, I'm working. I have 2 shows. I have 2 events today. I'm working. So they do have that in common. You do. I am on the road away from my family, but I think policing in that aspect at least got me prepared for that.
So usually at this point, after I ask 2 questions, I'll throw it to Maddie, because if I keep going, I might say all the questions that she knows.
I already crossed one out.
I'm sorry. I babble, so
it was on Terry.
Yeah,
Terry took my question.
My questions come off the top of my head, so and sometimes a lot of questions that everybody who has joined me, they be like, "Well, that was my question too." So I throw it to them, and I come back later.
I usually know where he's gonna go, so I try to steer away. But he got me today. But on the, I was really curious about how you used to be a cop, police officer. And since Trey already asked, I'm going to continue with this one though. Have any of your old coworkers come to see you since you've become a wrestler?
Trying to think. I know a lot of them expressed that they wanted to, but the whole scheduling thing is kind of part of that. Very often they're also working weekends as well. So I completely get it. But I do have a core group of people who I actually came up with through dispatching, went through the academy, and have expressed that they want to. So hopefully one day it would be really cool. I do very much have their support regardless. They're constantly commenting on my stuff and cheering me on via social media. So, awesome. But one day, I know my coworkers currently are really excited and want to come see me wrestle too. And as long as the part of it that's kind of hard is I feel bad asking people to travel more than an hour away. So I try and make sure when I'm in the area to let them know and say, hey, by the way, I'm actually close this time. Yes. So hopefully I'll have some old coworkers and new coworkers coming to see me soon.
That has to be exciting to look forward to. Your brother-in-law. Since this is what got it all started.
Yes. And I tell him all the time too, and it's really funny.
How does he react to you going, doing this? Has he been to see you? What has, the dynamic must be crazy right now.
Yeah. I mean, he actually just saw me. He traveled with my partner up to, I think 4 hours recently, because I battled Rachel Ellering at New York Championship Wrestling. They did a Hall of Fame for New York, and they drove 4 hours to come see me, which I talk about feeling bad about the hour-long drive, and here he goes driving the 4 hours. So he's come see me. He does have a son who I believe is 11 or 12 now, and he's seen me a couple times too, which is really cool. So yeah, he's super supportive. We joke all the time. I tell him that when I become famous, I'm not going to get him a ticket. I will. But I joke with him. And then the second WrestleMania recently, that was in New Jersey just a few years ago, he made sure to get me a ticket. And I traveled in style in a wheelchair because it was a week after my ACL surgery, but we got there. Finally got to that WrestleMania in Jersey.
Like, somebody's gonna wheel me in here.
That's exactly how it happened. I have a picture with my crutches and looking down at the ring. It was so, yeah. But we got there.
Happy you got to go. How was it recovering from the ACL injury? I know you were out for about a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've heard of other wrestlers who've gone through this injury, and they say that it's not just physical, it's mental. So how was that for you?
Very much so, yeah. So I actually prehabbed it. I think it's the word. Prehabbed it for about 2 months because I tore both the ACL and the MCL in a match because I probably shouldn't have. But when it tore, I continued to fight everyone and won the New York Championship Wrestling Women's Championship on a torn ACL and MCL. So I prehabbed it for about 2 months and decided, they gave me this huge glittery purple hinge brace that took up almost the majority of my leg. It did. And I decided I was going to try to go back to wrestle without an ACL, which was not the smart choice. I did that for about a month and went, we're going to not do that. And then actually got the surgery done. And it was a 10-month rehab recovery. I was rehabbing 3 days a week, probably for about 2 hours each time I went. And a lot of it was very mental. I literally had to relearn to walk, relearn how to run, jumping, what I could or couldn't do. Even just like running the ropes in the ring was a thing because there's a little bit of bounce when you're running, and that very much destabilizes you. So that was something else that I tried to do a little too soon and went, oh, okay, maybe we got to back off. I do have to say my ortho was very patient with me, but he called me out pretty often of like, you're going to be a problem, aren't you? You're going to try things we don't want you to do. Because when I walked into his office, I was not using crutches. I was walking on my own accord. And he went, why aren't you on crutches? And he thought it was just an MCL tear because I was walking on it. And then they did the MRI and they're like, no, that's completely gone. It was like folded in like a snail on itself and it was gone. So he's like, yeah, you need to like actually listen to us throughout this process. Okay. So it was very much me fighting my stubborn self of like, I can do this, and actually listening to the doctors, seeing people who I started out with working their butts off and getting opportunities they deserved, of me kind of sitting on the sidelines being like, oh, that stinks for me, but that's awesome for them. But it stinks. It's really hard. I got very lucky that a lot of promotions brought me in for commentary work, which kept me in the game, kept me in the talks, gave me a whole new skill, which I didn't even know I really wanted, but I actually really enjoy commentary. And shameless plug, if you want me for commentary, I'm available. Yes. Yeah, so I learned that side of it too, which was really cool. But a lot of it was kind of just taking it day by day, week by week, month by month, and realizing that you are human. Although we think we're superheroes, I am human, and I needed to listen. And we got there. We came back in January 31st against Darius Carter. Was my first match back, and it was a brutal, bloody battle, and set the tone for the comeback.
You don't joke, so
yeah. He took me to my limits, and as much as I don't want to give him kudos for it because he's a bit of a jerk. I don't think I would have chose a better person to come back and fight because he lit a fire under me. I literally, besides the fact that obviously he went after the ACL, I was not going to stay on that mat for very long, and I kept fighting, and he was someone who brought that out in me my first night back, and it was the best way to come back.
He's a great heel, so definitely if it's a debut back, that is definitely a good way to go. So you've had intergender matches, and you've done tag matches, you've done trios and singles. What is your favorite type?
I don't think I have a favorite type. No, I don't. I like for real, in all honesty, I just want all of the experience. I want to fight all the people. I don't care about gender. I just want to fight everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so pretty much anyone who comes up to me is like, I want to fight you. Yes. Okay. Anyone who they put me in the ring with and they're like, we want you to fight them. Yes. Okay. I don't care. I just want to do it. And
you do it well.
So. Thanks.
Yes. So I have to ask, and I know you've probably answered this in other interviews, but where did the Gladiator of the Geeks name itself? Like, how did that come about?
Well, the name, the iteration of the name itself actually came from my partner. He is a marketing manager. So he actually came up with the name itself. The idea behind it was mine because I'm a geek. I've been a geek my entire life. I cannot change this. We are an awkward turtle. It is what it is. So we are just leaning hard into that. I've read since I can remember. I read literally every night. So I'm a complete book nerd. I'm a sci-fi science fiction geek. I grew up with Goosebumps and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and just all of these things built me into the geek that I am today. And I got very lucky having a group of friends a very good friend who brought me into LARPing or live action role playing, which was another facet of what's, you see as the Gladiator of the Geeks. I go to the Renaissance Fair. I'm actually going in October, which I'm very excited. I've never done it for Halloween, so I've always done it in the summer. So I'm very excited to get back. That's where I actually have my leather armor, was a leather maker that I met at the New York Ren Fair. And that's where that came from. So there's like just bits and pieces of everything. My favorite, if you see this, oopsie, I'm doing it again. This is Mass Effect, which is one of my favorite RPGs, Commander Shepard. There's just bits and pieces of everything all culminated into the Gladiator of the Geeks.
I have to ask because I'm a huge gamer. My husband's a huge gamer. And he was the one who got me into RPGs when we were 14. So we've been together since we were 14. And yeah, it's a whole lifetime. And and I had to ask, have you been playing Tales of Arise?
I have not.
It's a brand new RPG. Look into it.
Okay. Yeah,
what is your favorite RPG?
So probably my love came from Dragon Age. I grew up, I wasn't allowed to have a gaming system growing up, which is hilarious to me because. Me either. Oh, okay, could you at least have Game Boy? Because at least I was able to have a Game Boy. No,
my neighbors, I would sneak next door and play with their Nintendo.
Yeah. My best friend, actually, she had a PlayStation, so I would sneak over and play Kingdom Hearts.
I was older by then. I was already so.
Yeah.
I'm aging myself.
No, listen, I'm not super young either. So I grew up with Pokemon and Zelda and Final Fantasy, but it was the Game Boy iteration. So obviously it's not an RPG. But that's really where the gaming started. And then Fable was one of the first ones that I got to play on Xbox. So good. And Dragon Age was probably my first. Dragon Age Origins was my favorite. I do have to say that's my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Riley. I'm gonna give it up to Trey. Did I ask one of your questions, Trey?
No. Okay. Are you even? I was gonna say, are you even now?
I don't even know what y'all was talking about at the end.
I was gonna say he looked like he's just not. He's out over there. He's like over my head. Don't know what you're saying.
He said video games, and I was like, oh.
No, it's not like it's not about me, but I used to play video games like all the time. Like
Okay.
I used to be ranked on the PlayStation on the thing for like Injustice 2. I was like number 3 in the world.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
still got the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. I got all the game systems. I just when I sit down, I lose like 2 to 3 days, so I don't turn it on.
Binge.
So
Yeah, binge. Big time binge.
when people start talking about it, I just be like, nope, I don't want to go there.
I got work.
I got work and everything, and I'll sit there and I'll be like, well,
Oh my gosh.
we go. And
I do have to say though, video games saved me over COVID because Animal Crossing came out literally when COVID hit, and it just took up my entire life. But I had nowhere to go, so my happy place was on this little island with these little animals because I couldn't go anywhere else. So
it was like the end of COVID and everything was opening back up, and I got the PlayStation 5 and I put the Spider-Man game in.
nice.
I lost 5 days, and I was like, yo, I'm not playing this no more. It's not going no more. It's over with. So, I look at it, man, let me stop looking. But I just stopped.
I was going to say, you keep glancing over, you're about to be sucked in. It's going to light up and be like, come to me.
Yeah, because everything is just sitting there. I got this Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I got the Wii. I got like every game system, but
I'm in the same boat as Trey.
I got to stop.
Yeah.
I got to stop myself. But let's get back over here on some wrestling with you, Miss Shepard.
We'll geek out later.
Right? We just changed the conversation.
So you're talking about during the pandemic, it saved you and everything. So I think I first caught wind of you during the pandemic, Titan Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
They was doing a lot of shows out there in the pandemic, outside.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, it seems like you didn't really slow down since you came back off your ACL. It actually gave you time to warm back up during wrestling. Is that like a good analysis? Or?
So when the pandemic first hit, I literally was booked every week, and I wrestled for a month and a week, and then the pandemic hit. And I went, oh, okay. So when the first few months were going on, I didn't wrestle at all because we didn't know what the heck was going on. We didn't know what was safe. We didn't know anything really. It was really taking day by day, week by week again. Luckily, my ACL taught me how to do this. But Titan was definitely one of the ones that started running, I believe, the summer after the pandemic hit, late in the summer. So I was only taking a few bookings. They were one of the places, and there were a couple other places. But I think, started back into wrestling almost every weekend about 6 months ago is maybe when it started. But I was trying to ease back in because I wanted to do everything as safely as I could. I do work at a domestic violence and sexual assault shelter. So what I do on my weekends and my other job obviously affects that. If I get COVID, it affects the shelter of where women, anyone comes for safety. And if someone has COVID and brings it in, that's obviously a problem. So I have to keep other people in mind. So it did take a little bit for me to kind of jump back in with both feet. But yeah, it did give my ACL extra time to be able to heal up. So it's 110%. Me and my zombie knee cadaver ACL are good to go now. But yeah, I was only taking, I think Titans was the very few that I was taking.
Okay. Now something else you said earlier. You said the NXT match you saw, Sasha and Becky.
Yes.
So if we go back to when you started training, someone who you were training under, he was in Ring of Honor, and then he went to NXT. Damian Priest. How was that experience for you?
I am so incredibly lucky and so incredibly grateful that I got to have him as a coach for about 2 years before he went over to the NXT brand. There's actually a photo, and I'm in it as an extra with my blue hair. He had his little squad at Ring of Honor, and I'm one of them who's in the picture that I think one of our friends from Primal Fear shared it recently and brought back all those memories. But is very intimidating. He's very tall. So he would walk in and like kind of pat me and I'm like, oh, hi. So he was an intimidating figure. And is very hard to read, but I feel like once he realizes that you want to put your all into this, your heart, your soul, everything into this, he is willing to help you in any way possible. And that's the kind of person he was. He realized that I was going to spend as much time getting better and learning, and I wanted to learn from him. And he would come in like an hour or so early before training additionally at the Monster Factory and work with some of us, the ones that were obviously showing we wanted to be there. So yeah, I am so grateful. He taught me so much, and one of the things he honed into my brain was storytelling. And that's something that I will always take forward from him with me, is the storytelling aspect. We both appreciate a good story.
Well, just give you a background here. We about the story also. That's what keeps me. That's like my biggest thing when I'm watching matches. Are they gonna be able to tell a story here with what I'm watching? If I don't feel like I got any story out of it, I'm like, the match was good, but it was nothing that brought me in that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of stories, let's talk about a story where, I liked you, and then you did your entrance at Battle Club when you and Erica, had your match for the Pro Wrestling Magic Heavyweight Championship. And then at the beginning of it, I said, I don't want to be like this, but Riley brought me in. She got me. You brought a kid in the ring with you.
I did.
With your sword and everything. And I was like, I don't want to be like this, but I'm with it. I had talked to Erica beforehand. We didn't get to talk to you. So I'm like, I'm pulling for Erica. But then when you did that moment, I was like, here we go. So what was that like for you? That opening moment, and then competing history, first 2 women to battle for that heavyweight championship.
I was already looking forward to that battle because of what it stood for. One, that it was against Erica, who I've never gotten to share the ring with. That was the first time we even battled each other. But also the fact that we were not only fighting for a championship, but it was the Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, and the first time 2 women had ever fought for it. Just, I probably was so in awe that it took until the day of for it to really hit me, the magnitude of all of it. Mainly because I'm trying to keep it cool. I'm not very cool, but I'm trying to keep my cool about it. But the day of, the butterflies were going and everything. But even before that, so the kid who came out, his name is Quentin, and he is the lieutenant of the Geek Army. He and his father have traveled all over the place to come watch me wrestle even before that day. And I dubbed him, I knighted him, like, you are the lieutenant of my Geek Army. And so when they reached out, because what happened was I got sponsored by Quentin's dad, and he got to come out in my entrance, and he had this little badge that said Lieutenant of the Geek Army on it. And it was just, the whole thing was, I brought my old armor, my very first cowl with my hoodie. And I asked him, like, do you want to wear this? So he wore my very first iteration of my armor out to the ring. There were just so many cool moments just in that entrance of alone with him. And you can see in any photo that you look at from that. And I'm just grinning ear to ear because I was so incredibly happy that he was able to come out. My favorite part of that match was him leaving the ring and shaking his little Riley Shepard sword at Erica. Off the cuff, he went by her, she like went like this, and he went with the sword. And I'm like, that was the best part of the match. That was just hands down best part of the match.
Let's see, I was just looking here because I got that whole video and everything, and I got that part on video. So yeah.
You have the part of him shaking his sword?
Yeah.
See, I haven't. So on the actual match video that they put out, it's not in there. So if you could send that to me, I would heart you forever.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I'm sitting on the side.
I have it like in the memory bank, but I would absolutely adore to be able to have that video because it absolutely made my night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look how things work out.
I like to record from the side because, you know, when you talk to some people, you find out it's like certain parts. They be like, oh, no one had that on camera. Be like, I got that. Like, oh, there it go. So,
knight in shining armor over here. Thank you so much.
Geek Squad? Nah,
yes. Converted.
I am a Geek Squad member.
So before we do our, well, not our last part, before we go on to this, you guys might see this early, okay? You'll see this part that we're doing early. You can catch the rest if you come back next week. But Riley has some matches coming up this weekend that we hear that we want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? She got 2 matches. I'm going to throw it to her to let her talk about it. Then I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and I don't know if she's ready for those.
Oh, no. Okay. I guess we'll get the easy part out first.
So, Riley, you know, I usually do this in our put yourself over moment, but when it was reached out, you know, they told us that you have 2 upcoming matches this weekend that's very important. Would you like to tell us about those matches?
Yes. So on Saturday, the 25th, I will be at Titan Championship Wrestling, which is one of the places you were talking about. And I will be in a triple threat, no holds barred match against the Vivacious Vicious Vicky and Gabby Ortiz for the Goddesses of War Championship. So, yeah, that's Saturday. And then Sunday, I will be at Sean Henderson Presents New Beginnings, and that will be against Stan Styles, who it's actually an intergender Bonanza showcase match, which is really cool. I just debuted for them a month ago, and now we're doing a showcase because Intergender Bonanza 10 is coming up. So it'll kind of be a preview of all that, which I'm super excited that I'm fighting Stan for. Shake Weight King himself.
Now, you have this let's talk about triple threat match first.
Yes.
This is Vicky. I've seen her out here. She doing her thing. Yeah, y'all been in some of the same companies, have some matches. And Gabby Ortiz, you know, I guess she's going through maybe, let's say, a character or personality change right now with some of the stuff she's doing. How are you gonna fend off these 2 ladies? Because Vicky is vicious, and Gabby, I don't know what's going on with her when I've been watching her, but something's happening with her. So she's unpredictable. So.
Well, so Gabby and I actually trained at the Monster Factory for about 2 years together. So we've been on Women of Honor together. So I have a background with her already. To be fair, we haven't shared the ring in years now. So this darker side of her is something that I haven't been met with yet. But I feel like at least my past might be able to give me some insight to her. We'll see if that will actually work, if I do have the insight with her. Vivacious Vicious Vicky. I have faced her a couple of times. Well, I faced her once before at Titans Championship Wrestling. She did come out with the win, sort of, but not really, because I was the one standing at the end of it. So that's kind of what my plan is for this Saturday anyways. At the end, I'm going to be the one standing with the shiny, or as I like to say, my precious. So...
Lord of the Rings,
my precious. I love it. Stop. So, the intergender showcase. So I see you on the timeline and everything. You're not scared to fight any men.
No.
So do you have a message for this intergender showcase? Because I mean, if people don't know, Riley throw women, she throw men. She's equal opportunity. So
yeah.
You know, you hear? So do you have a message for him?
My message for him is he better stop looking past me, because every time he talks about this battle between him and I, he's talking about Marcus for the Intergender Bonanza 10, and he might not make it to that one.
Hey,
Trey speechless.
I mean, that's the summing up. He might not make it to that one.
I mean, he did recently break his ankle. I mean, who's to say? I know how injuries work. I know how they're not stable. I know how, a little bit of pressure might re-injure it. So who knows? You better just stop looking past me is all I've got to say.
Hey, put some respect on her name. Please don't break it. I don't know what to say after that. Maddie, let me go ahead and do this before I go there. Let me go ahead and lean in a little bit. I don't know if she prepared for this one.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on.
This is
got our armor on.
This might be the hardest one.
Ooh.
People don't know how to react when I do this, but I just lean in a little bit. I look and I say, Rock or Stone Cold.
Oh. That's not a... Wait, can people actually choose? Like, is that a possibility for people to choose?
It's difficult.
They go through the, oh man, and then they give an answer. So, I mean, it's no right or wrong answer. We just ask to see,
My answer is Rock and Stone Cold. And.
Ooh, she put an and instead of more. You're gonna have to take it. No one's done that.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can accept that.
I like to be unique.
There you go.
We gonna let that fly, Manny?
I mean, I said Stone Cold, and then like 2 minutes later, I was like, "Damn, I should have said The Rock." But
I don't want to live with regrets.
Yeah, I regret it. It is recorded, so I regret it.
It's no regrets here. I mean, it's just one person, Rock or Stone.
My tattoo says that too.
No, all right. No.
I have a wrist one too.
Oh yeah, does it say no regrets too, or
no? It has my husband's initials. I went with that.
I like that too.
No regrets though.
We gonna get something here. Favorite 4 horsewoman?
Becky Lynch.
And we got an answer on something.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they're all so close, but Becky Lynch is, I think I saw her style and went, oh, that's kind of where I want to get myself to. Not kind of, that's where I want to get myself to. Take out the kind of. But yeah, I definitely feel like Becky Lynch was out of the 4 horsewomen, but they're all, I mean, in their own right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Rock or Stone Cold?
You're gonna have to let that one go. Give me one answer. the 4 horsewomen were hard enough.
You're gonna be at it all night.
Yeah, it's gonna bother me. Everyone. No, not everyone has an answer.
She said it really slow, so edit it.
Oh, no.
We don't give out false information.
Okay. He doesn't edit.
He doesn't
cut
out false information.
He doesn't cut anything out.
Unless it's just where something that shouldn't get out. But yeah, we don't cut things out.
Yeah, he won't. It's gonna say Rock and Stone Cold.
Oh boy,
great.
So
that's gonna be the title: Rock and Stone Cold. What?
I talked to a little birdie.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie didn't ask this. She usually takes this from me, but usually we talk to people and I ask. Little birdie told me that you want to face Kimberly. That's like one of somebody that you want to face out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking like, man, they both been at GSW. They haven't come across each other. Maybe that happens soon. Who knows? But are there any other people out here that you would like to face wrestling that you haven't faced?
LuFisto. I know that seemed like right up. I actually was talking about that recently. Because I saw she's back wrestling. She definitely was working with Ring of Honor and doing that whole commentary team. But I see she's back in the ring too now, and that's something I've told her to her face that I want to get in the ring with her. So she's definitely one of those women who was a pioneer for intergender wrestling before intergender wrestling was a thing. So I would absolutely love to share the ring with her.
Awesome. And I actually had that question written down, Trey, but I left it alone.
Just left it alone, just the case for me. Yeah. Right on for doing that for me then. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't do stuff for Terry or Trey. You know, I feel great. So, you know.
She had to make it up to you that I said and. So she gave you that one.
There you go.
She said and Maddie had already gave that one to me. So don't try to Riley. You know, we're not going. See how she no way. See how
you joined the Geeks squad. You can't be mad.
Oh man.
Awkward turtle squad.
Awkward turtle. What, like awkward Squirtle or something? Like
yeah. Yup.
Ain't Squirtle like a turtle or something?
Yeah.
Squirtle is a water turtle.
Yeah.
He's a water Pokemon who is a turtle. And I always say awkward turtle because I'm very klutzy. And spatial awareness, not great. So whenever I do something that's clumsy or geeky or weird, I say awkward turtle.
I'm gonna start doing that every time I bump into a wall.
See? And those walls get you. They do. They just come out of nowhere.
Me too.
The floor rises up sometimes, and you're just like, oh, gravity got me today.
No. Did you say sometimes a floor rises up?
Sometimes. Or gravity's really strong that day. It's dependent. There's factors.
Or every day.
Barefoot, shoes, doesn't matter. Sometimes it just gets you.
It's time to get up out of here, guys. Sometimes the floor rises up and hits you sometimes, you know. I mean, it just
they like to show people who's boss sometimes. I don't know.
Maddie, before we do our last thing, do you have any? You're gonna break me.
I love this interview. Thank you, Riley.
I just broke.
Good luck on Saturday and Sunday. I think you're gonna do great.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. That is the plan. Yes. Awkward Turtle Unite. We're taking over the world.
Get in this, Terry.
Come on, you got it. I believes in you.
Go on, Terry. Terry don't want to be an awkward.
So our last spot that we do here, Riley, we call it our put yourself over moment. I might do the awkward turtle at the end. We'll see.
Okay.
But this is where we ask you to give the people your social media, ways they can contact you. If you have any websites or where they can purchase and support you. We just ask you to put yourself. Oh, and let the people know about your October if you could. We just ask you to put yourself over.
Yeah. So I am at pretty much all social media at the Riley Shepard. That includes Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I'm not really good at it. I'm learning TikTok. You're just going to get a lot of awkward dances. Pretty sure one of them is a very awkward dance. I also have RileyShepard.com, which a lot of my matches are up on there. And most of my shirts are on, not most, all of my shirts on What a Maneuver. I used to know the whole address. Someone made fun of me, and now I've forgotten it on purpose because I don't want someone to be like, oh, you remember the whole thing. So, yeah, if you search What a Maneuver and Riley Shepard, you'll see my shirts. And, yeah, as of October, I will be back at New York Championship Wrestling the very first weekend of October. I will also be back at the VAC in Pennsylvania. And I do have a couple of debuts that I'm not really allowed to talk about. You'll find out when I announce on social media.
See that, Maddie? Every time people come on, they do that. Can't talk about them, but you'll see them on social media. So, like, she gave us her @ and YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're not following, get on there and follow now. Like always, we will have all the links in the bottom in the description. Her What a Maneuver, all the links where you can connect with her. Give her a follow. Go buy a T-shirt. Do something. Do that. Yeah, but we still gotta get out of here because I'm still tripping over the wall jump. The floor jumps up and hits you and everything. I don't know what that's about.
Hey, listen, I'm not alone because Maddie obviously experiences this too. I've seen many a little kid do it as well.
All the time. I'm so bruised everywhere that my husband's like, one of these days, people are gonna think stuff like it's not that at all.
No, I do it to myself. Sometimes he'll just be sitting on the couch and all of a sudden I'll just kind of plop and end up on falling on him. He's like, I've been here. I have not moved. Why are you falling on me? Gravity. I don't know. It just went.
Lucky you who are not clumsy, Trey.
Yeah. The good thing is when I get in the ring, the magic of the ring makes it happen a lot less. So we're very athletic in the ring. Outside the ropes,
it's over.
Or get you.
Funny how that works, guys. That is like people always say they clumsy outside the ring, but then when they in the ring, they're looking like $1 million. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I'm very appreciative of it. But you ask anyone I train with, we used to run and do like the side shuffles, and I trip almost every training, and I'm just like, no one saw it. No one saw it. They're like, of course, Riley's tripping again. Riley be tripping. It's okay. Just another day that ends in Y. We're okay.
Oh, man. All right. They're not okay. I'm gonna do this ending, but look, guys, we like to thank Riley Shepard for joining us over here.
But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You promised.
You
promised.
Do it.
Come on.
There you go.
Spin those finnies. Spin them.
Move the finger.
There you go.
Yes. On camera. Got you.
I love it. You made my heart so happy. So happy. My geeky little heart is very happy right now.
Oh, this is great.
Hey, we bring them on. We support them. We do little things. The turtle. When you see Riley at the show, just give it the turtle. That's gonna be her new thing. I don't know.
Even my turtle's clumsy.
Well, that's why it's clumsy because it only has 2 fins, so it runs into things.
I'm sorry. This is so
I like to thank Riley for joining us. I got this because they gonna break me. I like to thank Maddie for giving us this time. If you watch it on YouTube, go on the podcast version, listen to it. If you listening on the podcast version, please come to the YouTube so you can see the ending with the turtles and everything. Yeah. But like I'm Trey D, but like I always say, if I love wrestling. Hold on. I can't.
He can't even get his tagline out.
Broken him.
I've never seen him broken before.
Like always, I'm Trey D, and like I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's too sweet. For the coach. She doing the turtle still.